What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Mr. Kablim, and Maui Yap. What's up, guys? Welcome to Game 1 of the UAAP Finals. Game 1 recap.
Let's go! The UP Fighting Maroons taking
UP
Game 1.
Fight. The
And
complete,
the Boleros
the
are
complete
back.
UP Fighting Maroons. And,
Ay,
oo nga, hard
Hindi
lunch
for
lang
action
pala
game.
namin. Hard lunch lang pala namin yung bago naming Boleros caps. So we have 3 colorways, pink, beige, and dark brown. Details on how to buy a Boleros cap to follow. Just check out our Instagram. We'll post some of the details there. Let's talk about that game. UP Fighting Maroons taking game 1 from Salle. 73-65. Let's do a quick reaction. So all 3 of us came from the game. Sorry, before we do quick reactions.
Yeah, yes, sasabihin ko pa sana eh. Sa amin, nakalimutan mo yung mga dapat mong i-shout out eh. Pinapractice mo pa naman right before we came on this recording. You were practicing the shout out and you almost forgot it again.
Sorry, guys. Pwede ba natin to i-edit out? Edit out natin kasi hindi. Sorry, halatang medyo excited eh. No? Medyo excited after that first game. But yes, we do have to shout out some of our friends. Some of the people that we saw during the game. Shout out to David and to Karen. Some of the people that we met at the game. Maui.
Shout out to Kara and Pau who have been listening to our show also and was looking for the Sultan of Sando but was only able to meet Sam.
Shout out. Na-disappoint. Ay, si Sam lang. Sabing ganun eh. Wala ba si Sultan of Sando? Ganun. Ikaw yung hinahanap, Gabi. Anyway, actually, yun nga, makikita nyo kami ni Maui fresh from the game. Di pa kami nagbihis kasi nag-grab lang kami. Si Gab, syempre, on point, on brand yan dapat lagi. Nakasando na agad for the episode.
Nakaligo
Oy,
na.
Nakaligo na rin. Nakaligo na.
Sana
sige,
all.
Sana all. Let's, wala nang paligoy-ligoy pa. Let's talk about that game. Maui, how did UP, anong instant reaction mo dito? How did UP beat Salle?
Yeah. Actually, a couple of players to shout out, di ba? I think the first one should be QMB. What a third quarter, what a second half for QMB. I think it dominated the front end of Salle. Tayo sabi, we were talking about this going home. Walang playable big ang Salle except Mike Phillips. But even Mike Phillips was cooked in the post by QMB most of the second half. What a half by QMB. Grabe rin. I think it's one of the reasons why I think UP won. Diba? We usually talk about big games from Alarcon, big games from Kagulangan. Very team effort. Diba? Si Jerry Abadiano maybe did not have a high-scoring game but was able to hit probably two of the most crucial shots during the end of the game. Diba? That 3-point shot and mid-range shot was very crucial to stop the run of Salle. Si JD Kagulangan was his usual self, na steady, and was able to set up QMB perfectly also for that 3-point play jam over Kevin Kiambao. Diba? And I have to say, si Francis Lopez. Diba? We're finally seeing Coach Gold starting Francis Lopez. We've waited for this for 2 seasons, di ba? Finally.
It took a while. It took a while.
Finally, nakinig sa Boleros.
But now, finally, Francis Lopez is starting for UP. I think this is his best stretch of games so far. Those 4 blocks were all crucial. That coach's challenge to prevent Salle to get the lead to 2 was very crucial to end the game, di ba?
Sabi mo nga, pamatay sunog, di ba? Yung sabi mo.
Pamatay sunog. Most of the blocks. Kasi some of the blocks came off steals, di ba? That Salle was able to generate. I think he was able to do 3 chase down blocks. Only one was converted to a basket when CJ Austria put it back. But what a game by Francis Lopez on both ends of the floor, di ba? We didn't need to see him hit a couple of 3-pointers to really have an impact on the game, di ba? He had a lot of very good drives to the basket. I thought yung energy niya on both ends of the floor was key for UP, but this is ROI time for Quintin Milora-brown.
QMB ROI.
As they say, getting that one and done, I think this is his career high in the UAAP. This is his most impactful game on the offensive end, I would say. We were talking during the game and I mentioned this is probably the first time I saw UP go to QMB multiple times in a quarter in the post, diba? Yung baskets ni QMB have mostly come from offensive rebounds and points generated off drives, diba? We saw some generated by Terculas, but grabe, just cook Mike Phillips in the post. What a game by UP. If they're to close out this game in game 2 or maybe in game 3, this is the type of team effort that you need on both ends of the floor. Gab.
Before I go to recap the UP and LaSalle game, which was a good game, I do want to give a shout out to the NU Lady Bulldogs because I'm sure there was not a lot of people watching the women's game 1 finals at 1 p.m. today, right before the big game of UP and LaSalle. But that game was a great game. I implore and I invite all UAAP fans to watch the replay of that NU UST Game 1 Finals. NU keeping their undefeated season alive with a 1-point win over UST. Just wire to wire until the last shot, until the last second, NU was on the ropes. Their undefeated season was on the ropes. That was a heck of a game. So, yes, I know men's basketball is the more popular sport of basketball, the more popular version of basketball that we all love to watch. But women's basketball is offering a ton of entertainment, a ton of entertaining games. If you know the likes of Cici Clarin and Kent Pastrana, the two stars of UST and UST, they were guarding each other the entire fourth quarter. Mano y mano. Star versus star. They were guarding each other to nonstop, the two stars of both teams. And if you want to watch a heck of a game, yes, LaSalle UP was a good game. NU UST a while ago was a great game by those women. Please go and watch that game. But on to this game, first of all, I would like to give a big thank you to the UP Fighting Maroons for sorta ending this game early. Allowing me to leave early and not face the hell of a traffic going out of the parking building, getting home. I was home in, I think it was around 15 minutes. Praise the Lord. Yung sabi ko kay Sammy, nakaligo pa ako pag-uwi. May time pa ako maligo pag-uwi.
Daming time.
Nakakain pa ako ng dinner. But thank you to the UP Fighting Maroons for ending it sorta early. So, this game actually is a tale of two halves. In the first half, you saw a kind of slow start by LaSalle. They were missing a ton of shots. KQ shots were short. They were turning the ball over a ton. UP was barely converting those turnovers at the other end. But it was a kind of slow start for LaSalle until they eventually got their offense to flow. And how did they do that? By getting a ton of backdoor cuts. UP likes to overplay. UP likes to stick to their man, disrupt the passing lanes, and the LaSalle guards were taking it to them and just cutting backdoor. Mike Phillips, I think, had a couple. I think one or two or three passes to backdoor cuts by the LaSalle players.
Cutters, yeah. EJ
Goliana had a hot start, scored 9 points in the first quarter. KQ didn't do much, and I thought that they continued. It's very slow scoring, slow offensive first quarter until the flurry by LaSalle caused by some boneheaded plays by Francis. I think because of his spectacular second half, we kind of forgot that he ended the first quarter with kind of not really a smart sequence of plays. So he left EJ Goliana open in the corner for an open three. And then committed an offensive foul, which led to Mike Phillips' bucket of a goaltending by QMB. So I thought that momentum was clearly on the side of LaSalle, and it continued in the second quarter. KQ just got hot. KQ was showing his bag. Sam and I, we were seated beside each other, and every time he made a shot, we were like staring like, what? How the hell did he make that? Those two shots over Terculas was draped all over the guy.
Yeah.
And
Wala na siyang magagawa doon.
wala na, di ba, if you're Aldos and you have those were two good contests, good defense, better offense talaga from KQ. His shots were short, as I said at the start of this game, but I think the free throws kind of got him into this game. And those free throws were coming off fouls of all of his primary defenders. They started off Torres on him. He got 2 fouls. They switched to Torculas on him. He got 2 fouls. They switched to Alarcon. He got 2 fouls. Lopez eventually got 2 fouls. And then UP kind of fell on their magic hugot for the game. Jacob Baila on
Jacob Baila.
Magic hugot yun, grabe. What a game.
Diba? Grabe, 4 of his primary defenders who have previously guarded him in past games, all of them had 2 fouls in the first half. They literally, Baila was literally their emergency defender. Shout out also to all the guys who all the fans keep on defending Mark Belmonte. Never saw him again. Thankfully, Coach Gold, you did not go to Mark Belmonte on KQ and all of those 4 guys had 2 fouls. But yeah, Jacob Baila, I thought, played terrific defense on KQ. He's one guy who doesn't have a height disadvantage on KQ. Yeah. Unlike si Torres, unlike si Alarcon. But he also has the same foot speed as KQ, which made it a little bit harder. Now, some of the fouls drawn by KQ, I would admit, are a bit embellished, but he was also baiting those fouls from Harold, from Aldos, from Francis. They were too physical and he was just baiting them to fouls. And that got him going. Yung sabi nga natin sa amin, di ba? Nakuha niya yung pulso niya from the free throw line. Once he got that shot to fall from the free throw line, everything started falling for him. Until the second half, which was a very different story. UP came out with some kind of aggressiveness I had not seen from them since perhaps the Phil Oil Finals in the second half. You guys remember that? They were down big in the first half against LaSalle and Phil Oil. Came out like a defensive juggernaut, and that's the way they play defense in the second half in this game. Shutting down every dribble handoff, every off-ball action was shut down. And in the paint, QMB was there, or Francis was there. Nothing came easy for this LaSalle team. They had 9 points in the third quarter. You are not going to win a finals game scoring 9 points in a quarter. Diba?
Exactly what Mommy told me in the car also. Diba?
Oh, yeah. You're not going to win that way. I mean, UP was not spectacular in their offense. I mean, they were only up 4 when they made their run, when they kept LaSalle scoreless or in the halfway mark of the third quarter. So they were not really having a spectacular offensive game. They were just shutting down LaSalle on defense. And that's how you win championships. You win championships by playing defense. In the fourth quarter, if it wasn't for a huge Mike Phillips fourth quarter, I think LaSalle could have been blown out. Honestly, UP was up by 10 at the halfway point of the fourth quarter. They got nothing from KQ, and Mike Phillips just tried as much as possible to will them back into this game. As much as we said that Mike Phillips was cooked on the defensive end, and he kind of was by QMB, he really kept them in this game. And remember that tip in he had when it just randomly went into the basket. The putbacks, the spin move and hook shot. He was just trying as much as possible to keep LaSalle into this game. And to be honest, yung tama si Maui, the turning point was the coach's challenge. Kudos to coaching staff of UP and Coach Gold. A perfectly timed and executed coach's challenge. That's very difficult, just to paint a picture of a coach's challenge. There are no iPads on the benches of these teams to rewatch the play.
Hindi to parang NBA.
It is not like the NBA where they can instantly review the play as it previously happened, seconds after it happens. They have to trust the players and look at it live and see, was this a goaltend? Okay, I'm just gonna trust your gut. You were gonna challenge. That's mostly how coaches challenge work. in the UAAP. And kudos to Coach Cole. That's a perfectly timed coach's error. That, as you said, Maui, that could have cut the lead to 2. And when it was up 4, I think it was Jerry, diba, who hit that jump shot to put the lead back up to 6. And LaSalle could not make a run right after that huge turning point. I did say that 3-point shooting was going to be the key stat to watch in this game. It was for a while in the first half, but not really much in the second half because UP stayed in this game by attacking the paint over and over again. I think they only made 1 3 in the first half. They were 1 of 9, but they were only down 4. I was telling the both of you, when I was looking at the stats at halftime, sabi ko, UP should be down by double digits at least. They were out-rebounded by 11. LaSalle had 5 threes versus UP's 1. Perimeter points were definitely on the side of LaSalle. But paint points was what kept them alive. And free throw shooting. To be fair, I thought LaSalle had a ton of stupid plays in the first half. The 2 fouls by Goliena, the unwarranted 2 fouls by Goliena to put Baila on the free throw line. Now, granted, Baila did miss 2, so it didn't actually lead to anything. But the technical foul by Boris Manasigan for taunting Jacob. Who did he taunt? I think it was Baila. Was it Baila?
Baila.
It was, right?
Parang.
Yeah.
Off a block.
Yeah. When he taunted Baila, there was another stupid foul by Austria. LaSalle could have pulled away actually in that second quarter when KQ got hot. But they let UP back into this game. This ton of paint points. They weren't really shooting all that well, UP. Both teams shot below 40% in the first half. But LaSalle had an equal number of free throws. They shot more threes. This should have been a bigger lead by halftime. But kudos to UP. Every possession, paint touch, paint touch, paint touch. That's how they won this game. I'm going to call it as it is. I thought in the second half, Coach Topek should have gone with KQ at the 5 for at least a stretch. We never saw it. I thought when in that fourth quarter when they were struggling to generate some offense, or even in the third when they were struggling to generate some offense, I thought they should have gone more to KQ at the 5. Just force QMB to stretch it out. He's not comfortable on the perimeter at times. And I think if you're going to have to guard guards on the perimeter, that could have caused a little bit of trouble for QMB to keep up, just to get him out of the game or maybe disrupt his rhythm, because he was getting anything inside the paint on the other end. So yun, paint points. Paint points was a story in this game. It's crazy to say that LaSalle's front line was beaten, and they were. QMB beat LaSalle's front line. Raven Gonzalez, was not seen much in this game. Had a short stretch in the third quarter, but was not really played. Henry Agonane had 2 points. I think he's a bust. I think our overreaction was not really an overreaction. Mike Phillips, offensively, as I said, offensively was great, but defensively could not stop QMB. Weird to say that LaSalle's front line was outmatched actually in this game. And it wasn't just the entire UP front line. It was just one guy. QMB.
That's a good point.
They're not kidding. Coach Gold, finally, he's not kidding around. Played QMB 34 minutes. Played GD Kagulangan 35. This is what we've been waiting for since last season. Last season, hinaharap natin to. Why isn't JD playing 30-plus minutes? Why isn't... si Malik was, but JD wasn't playing 30-plus minutes. Finally, we're seeing it here. I think if Alarcon wasn't in foul trouble, I think he would have gotten to at least close to 30 minutes. This is what we wanted to see from UP. A close, tight rotation, play your best guys, no more fooling around, no more Chico Briones, finally. a little bit of Stevens and Ododo, maybe a 1 minute stretch from Ododo or a 2 minute stretch from Stevens. Didn't really see them much. Finally, no more Mark Belmonte. Okay, and also we're not bullying Mark Belmonte. Okay, to that one commenter who said we're criticizing Mark Belmonte. It's very different. And obviously, Coach Gold agrees with us here because he did not play Mark Belmonte, as we said. So I think we were proven right on that one. But an entirely great game by the UP Fighting Maroons. It's not every day you see LaSalle get outmatched in the paint. Crazy, Sammy.
Maganda yung sinabi mo about the big LaSalle's big men losing to one big man sa UP, but I think like hindi lang yung big men I think yung guards medyo natalo din yung LaSalle sa game na to. Specifically, we were talking about that point guard problem. We were talking about how good Josh David has been this entire season na nakalimutan na natin na we were talking about the point guard problem at the start of the season. Josh David had a bad game today. Only had, I think, 2 points. And they couldn't hit a shot. Meron siyang one good look from 3-point shot. Went in and out. Other than that, it was mostly a mega game for Josh David. And they lost him. He had cramps early in the game. Siguro, sabi ni Maui, he had a lot of rebounds actually. So siguro kaya siya cramps because he was trying to battle for the rebounds. I think they could have used him in the last few minutes. Ramiro was decent, but I feel like sometimes it's mas magaling talaga mag-set ng play si Josh David and space the floor, diba? So, hindi lang yung bigs para sa akin. Even, hindi lang din si KQ. Like, as much as I want to put a lot of blame on KQ for, nawala si Gab, but anyway, as much as I want to put a lot of blame on KQ for that horrible second half where he did not hit a single field goal. He already had 18 points nung first half. He didn't hit a single field goal nung second half. He only scored on the technical free throw. Diba, Maui? Tama. He only scored on the technical free throw. We need to see more from Josh David. He got checked. Kudos to UP's defense kasi they game planned for this. They prepared for this. So, it's not just KQ. It was also Josh David was sort of missing in action. Tama ka, Gab. If it were not for Mike Phillips, siguro natambakan pa yung LaSalle. Because Mike Phillips, if KQ carried them in the first half, Mike Phillips carried them in the second half. Kept this game close. One thing to mention though, na-mention mo yung minutes ni Raven Cortez nung start of the third. I think that was also like a bad start for LaSalle. Ay, Raven Gonzalez no start of the third. I thought that was a bad start for LaSalle nung second half. Yung three big lineup, Maui, you called it out, si Agonane, KQ, and sorry, sino ba yun? Si Phillips, si Gonzalez, and then si KQ, I think were in. Tapos to start the third and
the first quarter si Agonane, KQ, and Phillips. So I tried a different big.
And that sort of didn't work out for me. I think they should have shifted to that. Nawalan din ng spacing, but wala din ma-shoot na 3 points. Actually, both teams, wala sila masyadong ma-shoot na 3-pointers for this game. So, something to look out for.
Well, to be fair, after those 5 threes in the first half by LaSalle, they only made one in the second half. UP, after making 1 in the first half, made 3 in the second half. 2 of them came in the crucial stretch in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So it's not about how many you make. It's about when you make it.
When you make it. Ah, wow.
Yeah. UP made the big shots. Those were big threes by, I think it was Aldos and
Abadiano.
Jerry Abadiano in the fourth quarter. So those were big threes. Again, the timing, very important. Go ahead, Sammy.
Yeah, tapos siguro for me, shout out to, we talk about the Francis Lopez chase down blocks. For me, isa sa mga biggest highlights lang din for LaSalle was the KQ block on QMB. That was crazy. And I think after that block was a fast break shot by layup by Mike Phillips. Yeah, so sayang, they were making that run. Grabe yung block na yun by KQ.
Grabe
Pero tama,
yung block na yun.
diba?
I stood up from my
Napatayo
seat.
ka, Gab. Napatayo ka, di ba? Napatayo ka nung napanood mo.
Ako rin.
Si Maui din. Si Maui din.
Because Maui, Sam, KQ caught it on the top. He's like
Kita mo yung wingspan ng dalawa.
half a foot shorter than QMB or something like that. Diba? He's what, 6'4", 6'5"? QMB's like 6'10", and he like rose up at the
That was
top
crazy.
at the top of his dunk and just swatted it down. That was an amazing block. An amazing block. If LaSalle had won this game, that was definitely
Highlight
the
of the game. No?
Grabe yun. Grabe.
That could have been the turning point, diba? Kasi I think that's when they cut the lead to 4 also.
Yeah, that was when they were making their run. And tama kayo. I think, Maui, you said it, yung golden call on Lopez and how they challenged it, that pamatay sunog talaga yun. That's what killed LaSalle. And here's the thing. I wish hindi na lang natawagan ng goaltend, di ba? Kung ako yung LaSalle. Kasi after that block, nakuha ni KQ eh. So,
Could have been an easy layup.
Diba? It would have been an easy layup or I think he threw it out eh. Pinasa niya palabas sa kay David or someone. But breaks of the game din talaga. Sakit nun for LaSalle.
And that's the one thing I think should be added to the coaches' challenge. I think the NBA has added it already this season. The proximate to the play or what happened after the play was challenged. I think that the NBA does it. If you challenge something and it wasn't a foul, whoever got possession right after that play gets possession.
No, but Gab, jump ball eh. So it went to LaSalle.
Yun nga.
It went to LaSalle
it went to LaSalle because of a jump ball. But it should not have been a jump ball in the first place. It should have been just LaSalle ball.
Kasi clear possession.
Tama.
Clear possession.
Clear
Tama
possession.
naman,
It went to KQ. It should have been LaSalle possession. I think for future reference in the UAAP, they should add that because it makes sense, diba? Why would you call a jump ball that immediately went to a player's possession? So, I think that's one thing the NBA has done right, and I think the UAAP should copy it. Anyway, go ahead.
Any other surprises from the game or mga key takeaways, Maui?
Yeah, actually, one of the things I'm surprised to look at right now is yung paint points. Diba? We talk about QMB dominating, UP dominating the inside, but they actually ended the same sa game. LaSalle also was able to out-rebound UP still by 11 points. But if you were watching the game, grabe, kita mo yung effort ng UP to really make up. Diba? And it looked like they were dominating with all of those blocks by Francis Lopez. They won basically the defensive stats, diba? I think they had 16 total steals and blocks versus LaSalle 7. But to me, one of the things that I really looked at is KQ had 6 turnovers and 1 assist. Diba? During our previous episode, during our preview to the finals, we talked about one of our questions were, should they let KQ cook?
Diba? Exactly.
Diba? Should they let KQ cook? And he cooked offensively in the first half. He's able to score 18 points during the first 15 minutes of the game. Diba? If you looked at the highlights, you would be surprised that KQ only ended up with 19 points with only a technical free throw. The rest of the way, that's 25 minutes of KQ scoring only on a free throw and not hitting a single field goal. Diba? I think if that happened, then you would have expected that maybe KQ's assist numbers would have spiked. Maybe he would have gotten at least 5 or 6 assists. But man, he only had one for the game and 6 turnovers. Diba?
Wow.
We always talk about how good of a facilitator KQ has been, how his passing is one of his most important traits. But UP really did a good job during this game, shutting down all of them. I think, Sam, I mentioned this to you before we went home. Si David, VJ David, couldn't get any good looks. Diba? They forced him to dribble the ball and try to make plays. And it was successful. He wasn't able to get his usual spot-up 3-pointers. I really thought that they did a good job also on players like Makalalag. Makalalag was a non-factor in 24 minutes. He's been one of their most crucial players this season. Maybe si Austria. We can shout out si Austria for having a good stretch, part of the game. But it's hard for LaSalle, di ba? I think this is one of the things that we mentioned in our previous episodes. For LaSalle to look like a really scary team, it's very important for a few players to score 8 to 10 points in a game, di ba? If you look at this game, only one player outside of Phillips and KQ actually scored more than 8 points, and it was only EJ Golena. And yung points niya, yung 11 points na 9 of those came in a very short stretch, di ba? And I guess that really exaggerated yung struggles ng LaSalle in the second half. There was a point in time, I think they only scored 15 points for the first 14 minutes nung second half. UP really did a good job. Yung defense nila was masterful, and you can see even sa defensive stats, it's reflected, di ba? Grabe, what a defensive masterclass by UP. Tama si Gabi, if we see this type of UP, this is the type of UP we saw nung Phil Oil Finals. If we see this type of UP, then maybe they can sweep LaSalle in the finals. Just a different type of effort. And si Baila and QMB were two of the highly touted recruits, diba? Both of them were able to impact the game. If you look at the box score, you wouldn't even know. Si Baila probably had one of the biggest impacts sa game, diba? Him guarding KQ was the biggest surprise of today. Diba? Kasi everyone was expecting naman Phillips and QMB to really play well. But Baila was a plus 18 in 20 minutes in a single digit win. Diba? That's the type of impact this rookie was able to have today.
Yeah, and I know you're talking about like dati kasi diba si Baila was starting for them all throughout the season, and sabi natin start your stars. But you know, dito natin nakikita din yung benefits of like playing your other guys throughout the season. Probably Baila, you know, developed yung confidence niya and learned really through the system of Coach Gold all throughout the season, diba? That's why it's also important that you play your younger guys. Yun naman yung argument for that. So Baila showed up. Shout out to him, diba? He was a crucial player for this game 1. I just wanna add yung QMB Mike Phillips matchup. I'd love to see more. Of that. QMB dominated LaSalle, but Mike Phillips also dominated UP for certain stretches of the game, especially when he tried to make that run in the end. It was a lot of Mike Phillips dahil nawala nga si KQ. One thing for me for LaSalle, going back to the point guard, diba? The point guard problem, they're probably missing Evanelli a lot. Pag sa ganitong mga finals, a guy that can
We're still on that, Sam? We're still on the point
a guy that
problem?
can create his shots. Sa akin, it was Josh David all throughout the season, but not in this game.
Shot creation and 3-point shooting, I think, was missed. Diba? Si Abadam and si VJ David struggling in this game was really missed.
I contest that. You can't say that there's a point guard problem just because the guy who answered the point guard problem, he had a bad game. He had a bad game. Let's just put it at that. Evanelli had bad games. Let's not react like Evanelli was such a all out every single game was just pouring on the numbers. Sam,
Shocker
come on. That's kind of a dumb take. I'm sorry, Sam. I'm sorry. It's kind of a dumb take. LaSalle doesn't have a point guard problem anymore. I think VJ David has proven himself very capable already throughout the season. You can't just say they have a point guard problem again just because he had an off night. And he had cramps.
Yun nga. Yeah. Sinabi ko yun. Hindi, wala ka eh. Wala ka nung sinasabi ko. But that's why he was missing him in this game, diba? Kasi I think after David, it's kind of hard to find the point guard for LaSalle. That's the thing. Eh. I mean, Ramiro is serviceable, pero ang laki nung drop-off mo from David.
Which was the same last season when Evanelli was on the floor. They were a much better team when he was off it. So it's unfortunate for LaSalle that David got cramps. Actually, he was willing to check back in.
Hinatak siya ni Coach Topex.
Coach Topex, yung didn't want him back in the game. I think he's more thinking long term that we're trying to avoid you getting injured further and out for game 2. So just sit on the bench. He was willing
Bilis
to
na
do
turn
that.
around.
Yeah, so I think he will be ready for game 2. But I don't think they have a point guard problem. It was the same thing last season. I think Josh David has proven himself enough. So I don't buy that at all. It was just really they were defaulting too much to KQ. And KQ, and I have to criticize him, he was settling. I think he was. I think he was settling for a lot of those contested threes. I don't think he should have. Now, granted, yes, he hit those. He hit those threes in a ton of, and that's how he likes to play at times. Those pull-up contested threes. But I thought he was bailing out the defense a ton of times by pulling up contested threes. I mean, he got the switch on QMB a couple of times and just pulled up from 3. I mean, KQ, you have the foot speed and better handles and good enough handles to take on QMB one-on-one off the dribble. I don't think you should be pulling up from 3 and bailing out the defense like that. And collapse the defense and pass to your teammates. Collapse the defense, make UP help, then pass it to your teammates. You were doing it all throughout the season. Why aren't you doing it now? So I have to criticize KQ for that. One good note from this game, mukhang nakinig ang UAAP sa UAAP fans because they did away with the ads after timeouts.
Si Sabi, di sa atin naniniwala na nangyari talaga eh. Pero grabe talaga yun.
Sammy was able to watch the Final Four. He said, yung nagkamali lang. Sammy, hindi nagkamali kung buong 2
the
games
whole
ginagawa
game. Both
nila.
2 games. I still don't believe it.
But at least the UAP fans listen. I think they heard a lot of fans complain. We complained. I think Navs complained. I saw a clip of Navs. He was complaining about this. But I'm happy. They started on time. 5:30 on the dot. They started. I was so happy. I might have been even happier than seeing the entire game. That was the happiest point of my night when they started on time. 5:30 on the dot. They started. Timeouts were not 4 minutes long. They were around 1.5 to 2 minutes long. I'll take it. I'll take it over the 4-minute, 5-minute timeouts. I'll take it. One note about the ads though. I now believe our friend Apple. If you know our friend Apple, he's from LaSalle. He was from the Pep Squad formerly. He did say in one of our episodes long ago that he was not a fan of those sponsored segments. You know, the Bestie Cam, the Yamaha Flex Cam, the Mac Cafe, whatever. Because it kills cheers, and we saw it multiple times today. I counted around 3 times. The UP crowd was into it. They were making a run the second half. They were cheering Universidad ng Pilipinas. And then the PA announcer, all right, show your bestie cam. And then the cheer died down. I'm like, come on. I was enjoying that. Or LaSalle and UP were both cheering, you know, DLSU and UP fight. And then, all right, it's time for the Mac Cafe, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I now see where our friend Apple is coming from. It does kill the cheering vibes. Because I'd rather hear the cheers from the crowd. I'd rather hear both crowds shouting, cheering for their teams, rather than the cheers dying down and then we have a sponsored segment, you know, and all that. So I don't know. I know the UAAP needs to make money, and this is one way to make money. I mean, for one thing, at least when they do it during timeouts, it doesn't disrupt the flow of the game. I don't know. Yung pakasanay lang ako na yung timeouts wala masyadong tunog, and you feed off the energy of both crowds. That's just one part. But I'm glad the game was 2.5 hours long only. Sabi nga natin ni Maui, my God, hanggang 8:30 pa tayo dito sa Araneta. So,
we overheard fans talking. I overheard fans talking. They were nervous because they thought the game was gonna start at 6:30. I think half of the crowd expected it. Half of the crowd expected it to probably start 6 to 6:30. Kaya kalahati pa lang nandun nung tip-off.
Actually, maraming late nga dumating. No? Maraming late. Yeah, Gab, go ahead.
Siguro just looking forward to game 2. I do expect that Coach Topex and the staff are going to change the offensive philosophy a little bit because they were going to KQ too much for scoring. I think they should go to KQ, yeah, at times to score, but a lot of times also is to be the hub of the offense to make plays for his teammates because KQ scored nearly half of their points in the first half. Mike Phillips scored exactly half of their points in the second half. I don't think that's a recipe for a championship for LaSalle. You have to get the others involved. How they beat UP twice in the elimination round and how they've beaten teams, especially in the second round, was getting the others involved. Was getting David going, getting Makilala going. Goliana got going a bit, but you have to get Dungo, Marasigan, Raven Gonzalez, I think, needs a bit more run. He's one guy who can stretch QMB. He can go to the free throw line. We saw this, yung mga floaters niya.
Yeah.
Make plays to utilize that. I think they should really focus on not trying to let KQ cook. So yung opposite ng sinabi natin sa Sox sa Supply. If UP wants to let KQ cook, LaSalle should focus on not letting KQ cook because if KQ just cook, he won, as we saw in this game, he will run out of gas. Number 2, the others won't get a rhythm and you'll just completely be depending on Mike Phillips and Kevin Kimbao. That's not a recipe to win against this UP team. For UP, just bring the same defensive intensity as you brought in the second half. Just bring that same defensive intensity. Stick with this same rotation. Perhaps get Harold going a little bit. Nagkatotoo na naman yung parat natin sinasabi, boys, na siguro nag-take turns lang talaga si JD and si Harold. You cannot have a good game out of both of them. Both of those guys you need the ball to generate their offense, which is kind of weird, but they do. Harold had 4 points in this game. JD had a good game this time. He didn't have as much of a good game in the Final Four against UST, but JD had his JD moment. And I think it's time to let Harold have his Harold moment in game 2. So stick with the same rotation. Perhaps let Harold going. Since they found some Baila on KQ matchup that was effective, perhaps we can get less of Harold on KQ. I know it worked last season in the finals or even in the elimination round. I think KQ has found an answer to it already. He's not bothered anymore by the likes of Raylan Torres and Harold Alarcon. He just baits them to fouls because they're overly physical. They're overly aggressive on defense, so he just baits them to fouls. Baila, I think, is a better matchup along with Terculas and Lopez. I still think you have to get Francis Lopez on KQ. We saw it for a brief stretch and
parang di masyado, 'di ba? Sa game na to. Hindi sila masyado.
As soon as KQ got that second foul on Francis, we never saw Francis on KQ. And I wanted that matchup because on the other end of the floor, KQ was guarding Francis. So Francis, guard KQ. I want you to guard the guy, the MVP of the league. I think it was reported that he wants to be a lockdown defender, lock down the MVP. Lock down the 2-time MVP of the UAAP, diba? So I do want to see that in game 2, hopefully. But yeah, I think we're gonna see a slew of defenders. Hopefully not Harold. I think at this time that you found Baila, you can save Harold for the offensive end.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna need Harold in game 2. He's one guy we've always said who can explode and get his own shot. I mean, the guy just scored 33 points in the last game of the elimination round. Come on, you gotta reserve him for the offensive end. Yes, he's a terrific on-ball defender, but against a guy like KQ, I think KQ has figured them out already. And last words, Maui and Salle.
Take us away.
Yeah. Actually, ganda lang sinabi ni Gab, di ba? I think UP was able to really experiment during this game, putting a slew of defenders on KQ, di ba? Tall, fast, lahat lahat na ng types of combinations they were able to try. I think the best one that really worked was yung Baila. I mean, there's a reason why Baila was a plus 18 during this game. This is one of the main reasons why Baila was a highly touted recruit. Diba? It's not just because he can score baskets. It's not just because he can hit three-pointers, create from the perimeter, but it's also because of his versatility talaga as a player, di ba? He can guard multiple positions. He can do the dirty work, and he showed, di ba? You don't have to score a ton of points to make a mark in a game. For LaSalle, it's really about getting everybody involved. Number one should be Joshua David, di ba? We need to see a couple of three-pointers next game. That's when LaSalle is at their best, when they're hitting in the outside. I'd like to see less big, three big lineups next game. I would like to see more wing players play with KQ and Mike Phillips. I don't know if 30 minutes is good for Mike Phillips. Maybe we can get a few minutes of Gonzalez at the 5. As Gab mentioned, since he can really space the floor. He has 3-point shooting, as you've seen during this season. Maybe play Agunani less. He wasn't really effective against QMB. QMB was eating him alive during this game. But it's really about getting everybody involved for LaSalle. Diba? The more players that score 8 to 10 points, the more chances that they could win the game. Diba? I don't think it's a bit ironic, diba? Kasi during the first half of the game, I can say, I'm not sure if you were able to talk about this, but I can say that I was expecting an all-time great game by Kevin Cambao, diba? He had 18 points during the first 15 minutes, but this game was actually a very one of his off nights this season, diba? I think this is one of his worst games. He had 6 turnovers and only had 1 assist. He missed 10 shots, diba? He was 5 or 15. The only thing probably positive is that he was 7 for 7 sa free throw line. The Salle should be more aggressive. You cannot only get 11 free throws against a team as aggressive as UP is in the defensive end, diba? A lot of teams take advantage of UP's aggressiveness also to get to the line. They have to drive to the basket more, and those drives to the basket could lead to more free throws and more quality 3-point shots, diba? I just need them to be more aggressive if they are to force game 3, diba? They have to show that they really want it. UP, for me, UP really wanted it more kanina, despite losing that rebounding battle. Diba? Kaya you felt it that maybe UP was dominating the game sa even in the inside, diba? Kasi they were more intense. Francis Lopez, even si Kagulangan had a very shout out to JD Kagulangan for probably his first highlight block of his career in the UAAP. Diba? I don't think I remember another block.
Alam mo, hindi. Mau, he's had multiple already, but all of them on Ramiro. Medyo he likes to pick on Ramiro because Ramiro is smaller than. Preseason pa lang, he's been blocking Ramiro. over and over.
Basang-basa si Ramiro. But yeah, when your captain, when your top players play like that on both ends of the floor, diba? You know it's gonna be a good day for you. I think LaSalle has to be better next game. They cannot, as Gab mentioned, they cannot overly rely on only 2 people. It's a recipe for disaster. Diba? It's one of the reasons why we picked that question from our previous episode. That should KQ cook? Let KQ cook. KQ can cook in a multiple of ways, diba? I would say that LaSalle is more dangerous when KQ is that facilitator, diba? When he gets his teammates going. The game is just easier. Diba, Gavin? During the second half, KQ threw a lot of, I would say, tightly contested fall away 3-point shots. Diba? I don't want to see that. I want to see more drives from Kevin Cambao. I want to see more 3-point opportunities and easy baskets by his teammates. Only Golena was able to get going today, and maybe to a certain degree si Austria. But for them to force game 3, it has to be the same way as last season. Other players will have to step up, diba? There will have to be more surprises, diba? That's where Escandor and VJ David came in, diba? During game 2 and game 3 last season. For LaSalle to really challenge UP, it has to be the same way they did during games 1 and 2 during the season. A ton of players really stepping up and making their impact in the game. Yeah, Gab.
I don't want to jump off lang quickly on the let KQ cook thing. Of course, we're not saying don't give the ball to KQ. I mean, that's not what we're saying, diba? But as we said in our preview episode, the statement I mentioned sacks in that statement because it depends on the manner that UP lets KQ cook. If KQ is inefficient, like in this game, and he's not passing off to his teammates, he's not creating for others, then you will love that if you're UP. But if KQ had made like 10 out of 15 shots and he had 6 to 8 assists, that's letting KQ cook, and I don't think you'd want that if you're UP. So yes, I think they incidentally made KQ cook because they had all of their defenders were in foul trouble in the first half. So they incidentally had KQ cook, but in the second half, they definitely did. They forced KQ to tough shots. KQ was settling for tough shots. That's on him as well. But if you're LaSalle, you have to be the KQ that you were. Yeah, you have to see the KQ from the first round and the second round. Well, he was not. Well, he was just playing off other people. When he was getting wide open threes off of drives from his teammates, where he was giving to cutters or giving to corner shooters, that's how KQ is supposed to operate. If this is the KQ you're gonna see in game 2, I think it's gonna be a sweep where I don't have a broom, but we're gonna do the broomstick. There's gonna be a sweep for the UP Fighting Maroons if we see a KQ like this, where he's just basically trying to score every single time. He shouldn't be trying to score every single time. Yes, you should run your offense through him, but him trying to score every single time is a recipe for disaster. We've said it since the preseason. And if we see it again in game 2, LaSalle, sorry, there's no back-to-back for you.
Okay, that's it for today's episode. Next game 2 will be this Wednesday in MOA Arena. It's do or die for LaSalle. So for the LaSalle listeners, you have to medyo magdasal-dasal na. You have to go all out there. By the way, for UP fans, pinag-uusapan ng mga UP fans, the Araneta Coliseum curse is finally broken after three finals appearances. The Araneta curse is finally broken. So baka may pag-asa na yung UP this year. We'll see you guys again in game 2. We'll definitely cover that. And if may game 3, we'll also talk about that. Abangan nyo na lang. See you again soon. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out our Instagram for the new Boleros caps. Bye-bye.